Guys, welcome back to another That Fuzz and Rock Show interview. We have a great one for you today. Please welcome to the show Richard West from OBLIVION Protocol. Richard, how you doing today, my friend?
Hey, it's great to see you. I'm doing well, thank you.
It's good to see you as well. First of all, let me thank you for stopping by, hanging out with us for a little while. Definitely appreciate your time, and we won't waste any time. We'll get right into it. We're here to talk about the I'm going to say debut album, but you've been around for a couple of years anyways, but this is the debut album from OBLIVION Protocol, The Fall of the Shires. It's available August 18th through Atomic Fire Records, and we'll definitely get to all that in just a few minutes. First of all, let's get to know the band a little bit. Who else is in the band with you?
So I have an incredible array of musicians behind me on this one. I have Ruud Jolly from the Dutch band Within Temptation. He's a guitarist. I have Simon Anderson, bass player from Sweden. He is in Darkwater, using the Salvation. And on drums, I have Darby Todd. He seems to have kind of played with everybody. I think he's played with Huey Lewis and the News. He's played with Robert Plant. He's just been out on tour with Devin Townsend. So I'm just frankly amazed that I have these guys in my band with me. It's kind of a dream come true. I'm pinching myself every day.
That's awesome. So how did you guys kind of form this? I guess we're going to call it a little super group. How did you guys all come together?
Completely by accident. So I made the record just for myself. It was just a bit of fun. We'd been planning to do this. It was a sequel story to the Threshold album, Legends of the Shires. And we've been planning to do the sequel in Threshold. And then halfway through making a record, the guys kind of changed their minds. So I was left with an opening song, a closing song, and a kind of a story that I liked. Sure. So I thought, well, hey, why not? I'll just do it myself. My plan was, I thought I will make it just the right size for vinyl, so 21 minutes each side. I will press one copy of the vinyl and I'll slide it into my record collection behind me there. And no one will even know it exists. It'll just be my little secret project.
There you go.
So that was the plan. So I made the whole thing myself. I programmed the drums. I kind of played and programmed all the instruments. I sung it myself, and I just had fun. It wasn't supposed to be released. So what happened? I just happened to be chatting to a guy at a record company that I knew, and he asked what I was doing. So I just mentioned it in passing. He said, "Oh, send me a copy. I'd love to have a listen." So I did, and then he signed me, and that was a bit of a shock.
Wow.
Really not what I was expecting. So complete accidental album. You know that thing when you're a musician, you spend your entire life trying to get a record contract, and it's just I got one by mistake. So apologies everybody else. I don't know how it happened, but I just come along. So at that point, that was to answer your question. That's when I thought, well, I better get an actual band behind me. I can't just have programmed drums and me playing everything on the record. It'd be good to get an actual band. So I picked my 3 favorite friends, and they all said yes. So I was very happy.
Well, there you go. It's good to have friends. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like you were saying, this album is a follow up to Threshold's 2017 Legends of the Shires. How different comparing Threshold sound to OBLIVION Protocol sound? How different are they, if any?
Well, I kind of knew I wanted it to sound Threshold-ish because obviously it's the sequel, so it had to be. It's got a lot of kind of Easter eggs as well, kind of sounds and melodies and ideas that continue through. But I'm not a rock singer by any stretch. We've got Glyn Morgan in Threshold, who's just got that amazing rock voice with that kind of growl and gravel and power. And I'm not that guy. I'm more of a prog singer. So I kind of knew if it was going to work with me, I wanted to back away with the power stuff a bit. So I tuned the guitars lower so that they'd be kind of more in a different space, not up where the vocals are trying to be. Changed the way I did keyboards a bit, just went for more atmospheric sort of layers. And then I just went a bit more proggy. There are some heavy songs on there, but I just explored my progressive side a bit more. So just by doing that kind of defined how OBLIVION Protocol was going to sound, really. And then I just had fun. I just made this record in secret for myself and enjoyed every minute of it.
There you go. That's awesome. So let's talk about you for a little bit, then we'll get to the album for sure. But what first got you into wanting to be a musician? What inspired you?
I think it got me at an early age. My dad always said one of the earliest memories of me was once I was starting to stand up and walk around. He was playing classical music in the room, and I went up. He had these massive loudspeakers, bigger than me at the time, I think. And I just went up and put my arms around it and put my body against it and just absorbed and listened to the music. So evidently I was experiencing something then. And then by the age of 5, I was playing piano, and then a couple of years later I started writing. Then picked up cello and guitar and a few other things. So it was always in me. And I think as soon as I started writing, I thought, hey, this is fun. I could do this. And
There you
because
go.
I kind of grew up in a little village in the middle of nowhere, we didn't really have access to music shops or studios or anything like that. So I spent really my whole youth trying to work out how to make a record. You know, I started off with 2 little cassette recorders, recording on one, playing it back, recording on the other, and adding layers, adding cello, adding drums played on cardboard boxes, that sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
And then it took me a lifetime, it felt, before I finally got to a studio and realized how they actually did things.
So now I got some rapid fire response questions for you. There's going to be 5 of them.
Okay.
And we're going to try and do this, do it as quick as you can. So the first question is, do you remember the name of your first band?
Oh. Yeah, it was probably Emergency Exit. I hesitate because I had a few at school. I got to a point where suddenly everyone was forming bands at school and I was the only keyboard player. So I was kind of in all of them. And a lot of them didn't get names. They didn't last long enough to get a name. So I think the first one I can think of, Emergency Exit.
All right.
We did an album with about 10 songs on.
Oh, nice.
And we actually did a gig, which was quite rare for a school band in those days. Mostly it was just rehearsing and messing around in somebody's living room. So actually doing a gig was kind of cool.
So what was your first gig? Do you remember your first gig?
Yeah, it was a house party. It was a friend's, I don't know what, maybe it was 18th or 17th or something. So we all got together. We put all our equipment into this living room. It looked absolutely ridiculous. And we had all our friends around and we had a gig. And it was just the best night of my life, I think, up to then. Really, really fun.
There you go. So have you ever sold a piece of musical equipment that you regret selling?
All of it, absolutely. I always had this thing where if I wanted to buy a new keyboard, I had to sell the old one because I didn't have the money.
Right.
So yeah, all the keyboards all through my life, I wish I still had. I'm on eBay every month thinking, oh, I should just buy that one back.
Give me that, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's impossible. You know, I'd have about 12 keyboards in this studio.
Sure.
They'd all be sitting in cases getting old, but I kind of wish I had them all. They're all magical and they all had certain points of history, especially on Threshold.
Sure, yeah. Let's try this one. Give me the name of one album that you would never ever get tired of listening to.
Genesis, and then there were 3.
There you go.
It was the first album that opened my ears to more than just pop music. Absolutely adore it.
Or should I say other than the new one, The Fall of the Shires, because nobody's gonna get tired of that. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
Just slide that little quick plug in there. Give me, this is the last one. This one's the toughest one usually. Give me your biggest on-stage oops.
Oh. That's a curious one. I can think of other people's biggest on-stage oopses. I tend to
maybe that's the question I should ask is tell me somebody else's on-stage oops. That'd probably be a good one. Be juicy anyway.
The first one I think of with me was we were doing a show in Switzerland and I got ill that afternoon. I don't know, I picked up some sort of flu or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on stage and every song I'm just feeling more and more tired. And by the end, I could barely stand up. And we actually had to stop the show before the last song because I was feeling so ill. That one springs to mind as being a bit of an oops. But no, my favourite story, I'm not going to say who it was. There was a bass player in a band that I knew. And he was playing at a show. I think I was in the band. Yeah, I was in the band. That's so long ago, I can't remember. But he was on stage and he really needed the loo. And so we got to a point where there was kind of a place where we could get away without bass. So he charged off the stage, down through the crowd, which is quite hard to do, out the back of the venue, down the corridors, got to the toilet. He got there too late and he came back with a wet leg. And as he came back onto the stage, I remember saying to him, you know, there's a toilet just on the side of the stage here.
Oh, it's right there?
It was right there. You never knew. Hey, that's way more fun than telling you my bad story.
So that's a good one. That is a good one for sure. So what about some of your early influences? Who are some of your earlier influences? Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the video. If you guys like what you see, do me a favor, right down here, click that subscribe button, give the video a like, and ring that little notification bell. That way you guys know when we post new stuff and when we go live on the air. Do me a huge favor. Tell a friend or two. Now, let's get right back to the action.
Well, Genesis, I mentioned. I think probably the other one would be Queen. It's the band when I first discovered them. It's just opened my ears to something new. I think the first song I heard was Don't Stop Me Now, and then I went back and bought some of the earlier albums like Night of the Opera. And where everything else on the radio was trying to be the 3-minute pop format, Queen were just doing whatever they wanted, and I wanted some of that. Absolutely loved it. They're probably still my favorite band.
Yeah, I think and kind of along those lines, mentioning Queen, I think my cousin first played Night at the Opera for me when I was young. I was really young, and it was almost magic to my ears. Like it was just like wow, and that does, you're right, it does open up a lot of doors for finding new music and stuff like that. So yeah, that's definitely good. Is there any new stuff out now that's got your ear?
Well, it's weird with Night at the Opera, isn't it? Because it's very much of its time. You listen to it, if it was a new album now, and you've got Seaside Rendezvous and Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon, and you think there's no way a band would do that now and be taken seriously. But somehow, in 1975 or whenever it was, it just worked, and it was just a magical, like you say, piece of music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff now, I'm really fussy these days. I'm mostly listening to 70s and 80s. I'm that guy. That nostalgia kind of adds something to the music. So if I listen to something new now, it generally will be something that I heard back in the day, or a band that I like back in the day.
Sure.
So I recently found Roger Waters' album "Is This Life We Really Want," and because it kind of reminds me of Pink Floyd's "The Wall" and "Wish You Were Here." He's kind of put in a few little, whether it's intentional or not, there's a lot of reference points to those albums, and it just makes it an absolutely magical listen. So that's my favorite. It's not that new. It's a few years old, but I only just found it, and it's a beautiful record.
That's the Wish You Were Here. That's my one album I would never get sick of listening to. I never get tired of Wish. That was probably my favorite album of all time if I had to pick one.
It's definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. So have you ever, this one's a tough one, and without naming names, have you ever met someone in the industry that disappointed you?
Oh yes, all the time.
All the time, really? Okay.
They tend to be more not musicians. Occasionally it'll be a record company person.
Gotcha.
It'll be a promoter who's just more in it for him than he is for
Mm-hmm.
the acts he's looking after. It happens all the time. It's not exclusive to music. But I remember one time I was trying to make it when I was younger, trying to make it as a writer, and I set up this big meeting with this big publishing company up in London, and I'd gone along with all my new songs for him to hear, hoping that he'd kind of sign them to the catalogue, develop me as a writer, and put them all up with A-list artists, all the stuff you hope is going to happen for you. I remember sitting there, and the music was on in the background while he just yabbered on about everything he'd achieved in the 60s. I thought, it's interesting, but it's not really what I came here for. He didn't even really listen to the songs. And so this big thing that was going to be one of my big career-changing moments, it was just one of those idiots that really shouldn't be allowed to meet other people.
Right.
So yeah, that was disappointing. I sound bitter, don't I? But there are people all along the way, aren't they, that are going to let you down. But the thing with music, there are way more people that are just wonderful, and you make friends for life. And that's whether it's bands or crew or record company guys as well. We've been with Nuclear Blast since 2006, and they're just the best bunch of guys. Really nice label, and you never really hear that about labels. You think, oh, they're there to rip you off and that sort of thing, and they've just been the best people you could possibly think of. So there are good people out there, definitely.
As far as labels go, I think that the big shift in music when it came to like Napster started and the whole digital era came through, where it's download, that changed the industry. It kind of brought the record companies to their knees almost, and the industry's changed. You've been in it a while. Do you think the industry's changed for the better now or for the worse than it was, say, in the 80s?
I have to say worse. I loved it when it was all about product. The thing is, growing up in the 80s, music was the thing for me, certainly.
Sure.
There weren't really any other distractions. We had some video games, but they weren't, really in the house so much. You went out to arcades for that. And we had TV, but we only had like 4 channels, and they were pretty dull. So music was like a religion. You tuned into the charts every week to see what was coming out. You went to the record store at least every week to see what was new. And it was you adored it, didn't you? You'd bring back your new piece of vinyl, you'd unwrap it. It's almost like a religious ceremony. You put it on the record player for the first time. And kids today don't know any of that. Music seems to just be background noise for them. And you can have a 2-minute song, and that's plenty because they didn't want to hear more anyway. So yeah, music's changed beyond recognition. And like most old people, I prefer the good old days.
Yeah, it was something to do. You go to the record store, you're leafing through hundreds of albums when you go there, and you bring home 2 or 3 of your favorites. You know, put it on, read the liner notes. You look at the album art. Like, it was kind of it was an experience. It wasn't really just you're not just listening to music. It was almost an experience, which was, like you said, it's something that unfortunately the young folks of today are not going to be able to experience unless vinyl's making a comeback, but it's so expensive lately. It's been crazy, the amount of vinyl that's come out, and the reissues are like $30 something now.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I mean, we're looking at, certainly with Threshold, we had some vinyl we were selling on our shop at the time, and we were finding to post it to America were costing £20 a time. So that's like $30 just for postage. And you think that's before you bought the product. But it's the world we're in, isn't it? Paper costs have gone up, vinyl costs have gone up, manufacturing costs have gone up. It's just got a bit crazy. But I still love a piece of vinyl, and the Oblivion Protocol record, which I'd love to talk about, is a good case in point. It looks beautiful. It sounds great. It's on 180 gram vinyl. And I'm old fashioned, so I designed the record to fit on vinyl. It's 21 minutes each side. It's made to be on a record. So I kind of hope people buy it and listen to it that way.
Yeah, there you go.
Hearing it was intended.
Yeah, we're at the point now. Let's talk about the new album. It's called The Fall of the Shires. It's due out August 18th via Atomic Fire Records. How did you get involved with Atomic Fire? Was that was the story where he said send me a copy and then signed you right away? Is that?
Yeah, it was Marcus Steiger who he originally founded Nuclear Blast, and then he left there to form Atomic Fire Records. And I think he put a post up on Facebook, and I saw it, and I just wrote to him, had a little chat, and before I know it, the whole story I was saying earlier, it was he offered me a deal, and it was a bit of a shock. And it turned out Atomic Fire Records, most of the people work there used to work in Nuclear Blast, so it feels like just going back to the family that I knew altogether. So it was really nice.
So now, when you originally wrote this, how long did it take you to write the album?
Oh, it's like most things. You spend a few weeks writing and then the next year and a half finishing. So it's one of those. The initial idea, it was a weird one, because it was kind of, I started writing it for Threshold, so I already had a couple of songs on the story. And then, because we'd started making the story with Threshold, when I then took it away and did it myself, I thought, well, I've kind of got all the structure, but I can now make it in a bit more of a focused way than it probably would have been with Threshold, because you got more people involved, so it tends to spread out a bit. So I remember spending a good couple of weeks just mapping out what the 8 songs would be, what was in them, starting to shape the melodies and the song structures. And so that was really just a couple of weeks, just getting that basic shaping. And then, like I say, another year and a half to finish it off.
So now, when you recorded this, did you recorded this all yourself, or did the guys from the band come in with that recording?
Both. So the demos, I did everything myself, and because I was making it to sound like a finished record, it was pretty complete. But then when I got the guys in, obviously they replayed drums, bass, and guitars. So they took what I'd done as the basses and then just added their personality to it. So it's all the same riffs and basic parts, but you just hear them. A great example. Root, he replayed all the solos. He didn't want to do the solos I'd written, and his are like 10 times better. So I'm very happy about that. And then Simon on bass, he's just added so many beautiful moments that just give it a real personality, whereas I just kind of programmed in basic bass lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's lovely. And same with Darby, all his riffs and fills and everything. They just brought the album to life, and I think just made it twice what it was when I first wrote it. So it's lovely for me just to listen back and hear how it's grown since they got involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the first single off the album is Forest in the Fallout. Tell us a little bit about that song.
That was the hardest song to write, actually. It's one of the last ones I did. Might be the last one I did. And the first version I wrote, I didn't quite like it. It was a bit sprawling and meandering. So I did that difficult thing where you've written a song and I'm just going to unlearn everything I've done and I'm going to write it again. So same title, everything else changes. Lyrics are roughly the same, I suppose. So I wrote a new one, which was kind of a catchy, upbeat, almost a pop song. And I got the guys to record it, and I listened back. I thought, no, that's not what I want. It's got to have more gravitas than that. It's a serious part of the album and part of the story. So I went back, I wrote a third version, and I just never do that sort of thing. So I've got 3 versions of this song sitting around. So that one definitely was the hardest one to do. But finally, with the third one, I thought, yeah, that'll work. That's what I wanted.
So another standout on the album is This Is Not a Test. I'm going to say it's probably my favorite of all the ones that I listened to of the album anyways. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I think that was a standout single. I think when I had a chat with the label, it was that or Public Safety Broadcast that were the two most likely singles. But it was nice. They said to me, "You've got 5 singles on this record," which I thought 5 out of 8. That's not bad. It's like Thriller, fantastic.
Yeah, right.
If I could have that many platinum and hits, I'd be very happy indeed. But this is not a test. Yeah, we thought that would be the lead single, but because it takes time to make a video, and we did a cool little video for that one, so it became the second song. But yeah, it's kind of a trademark sort of me writing a threshold track in a way. It's got that. It's kind of got a classical influence in the chord structures. It's got a nice catchy poppy melody. It's all the stuff I like in music, and lots of little complex bits here and there. So yeah, very proud of that one.
So This Is Not a Test was the first video that the band had shot. Is there any stories attached to the video, or?
Well, yeah, it was actually the first time we'd all actually met each other in one go. I think most of us knew each other one-to-one, but we never actually got together as a 4 before. So it was kind of cool. We all met up in Gothenburg, went for drinks for the first time. It was very weird meeting a band for the first time, having already worked with each other for a year. And then for me, I've been a keyboard player for 30 years. I'm used to being the guy who hides behind the keyboards, poorly lit. You can't normally see me from the stage. And I'm the guy just checking everyone's okay, making sure their cymbals haven't fallen down and making sure their monitoring's working, that kind of thing.
Right.
So going from that to being the guy standing in front of them, that was really weird. I didn't appreciate how that was going to feel. And suddenly I'm in front of a band for the first time in my life, holding a mic, and I'm being filmed by this great film director. And suddenly, the weirdest thing, I couldn't see the guys behind me, and that was the weirdest for me because I felt out of control. It's like they may have off. They were pulling faces. They were thinking he's a terrible frontman. Suddenly, all these insecurities come out. This is a difficult gig being a frontman. Let me just run back behind the keyboards. I'll be a lot happier.
You go back and hide, yeah, right? So now that video, the video itself is the way it's shot. And who shot the video? Was that your concept or was it the directors?
Director. It's a guy called Patrick Elias, has a studio called Revolver Studios, and he just works with all these great bands, Europe, Within Temptation, In Flames, and his videos are just phenomenal. When we were looking for people to do the video, there's all these people, and then way up there's Patrick. So there was no way I was going to tell Patrick anything about what I wanted, what I thought it should be. I thought, no, you just do it because you're amazing. And he came back with this fantastic video. And it was my first time as a frontman, as I say, and he was very easy on me. He was very kind. Yeah.
Usually when they shoot videos, it's like you get a straight on shot of, the guy singing, guy playing guitar, there's the bass player, guitarist again, singer, drummer. But the way they shot this, and you guys got to check out the video. It's on YouTube. This is not a test. It's an amazing video, but the way the camera like almost wraps around you guys in all different ways. That was impressive. It's different, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No,
that was cool how he did it.
I remember talking to him on the phone. He was telling me what he wanted to do. It's a 3D camera, and he has it on this long pole, and he's kind of flying it around like a bird. And like you say, the results are unreal. He said you get shots you can't get any other way. It just makes this incredible video. So yeah, really fun to watch.
Yeah, that really impressed me when I saw that. Now, do you guys have any plans of touring, supporting the new album?
Not yet, but I really hope so. It's one of those things. I never thought I'd get to make an album as a frontman. I just didn't see that coming. It wasn't even on my list of things to do, So now I'm there. I think, well, I've got to go and do the whole thing, haven't I? You don't go to a great restaurant and then say, oh, I won't bother with dessert. So I have to go and see what it's like to be a frontman.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at probably a couple of festivals first, just so we can kind of get our feet wet, see how that works, and then we'll take it from there.
There you go. We'll look forward to that. Now, do you have anything else to tell the folks before we wrap up? I know I've taken probably too much of your time as it is now. So,
yeah, buy the vinyl. It looks great, sounds great. Support the industry.
There you go. Easy enough. Well said, sir. So, listen, guys, you have to check out the new release from Oblivion Protocol, The Fall of the Shires. It's available August 18th via Atomic Fire Records. Check your preferred streaming platforms for availability. For more info, you please check out oblivionprotocol.net. Facebook.com/Oblivion Protocol. Same on Instagram. It's Oblivion Protocol on Instagram and Twitter. Also, check out AtomicFireRecords.com. Facebook and Instagram are Atomic Fire Records, and Twitter is Atomic Fire Rec, REC. Richard, listen, man, I appreciate you stopping by, hanging out with us, and answering all my silly questions. It's been my pleasure for sure. I would wish you luck with the album. I don't think you need it though. It's a standout piece, man. It's a really good album. And folks, you got to go out there and get it. So, kudos on a great job to you guys. And listen, man, stop back again sometime. I'd love to chat with you some more.
I really appreciate it. Thanks ever so much. Very nice to meet you.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Richard West from Oblivion Protocol. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks.